Well, if you can't hear me, I'm sure they'll turn this on or something. So. Okay, they'll tell me. Hello. Anyway, my name is Jerry Beck. I am the president of ASIFA Hollywood, and an animation historian. I won't go any further than that, but I want to bring out the panel for this film. What do you guys think of this film? It's fantastic, right? Amazing. So let's meet first the producer. We have two producers here. Producer Marisa Roman.
Hello. Hi, guys.
We have producer Jinko Gotoh. We have the lead voice actor in the film who played Klaus, J.K. Simmons. And the director, co-writer, and a million other things, and designer and everything on this film, Sergio Pablos. Has everybody got a mic? I want to make sure.
Thank you.
Everybody gets a chance to figure out how to turn it on their own.
Nope.
Oh, let me see. There's a little switch here on the bottom. There you go.
That works?
There you go. We'll figure it all out. I always like to start at the beginning when I talk about these movies. Where does a movie like this come from? Did you figure this out and pitch it?
Well, you know, movies are, different ideas come from different places, and in this particular instance, I was looking for the next thing,
Right.
and it was back in 2010, and I happened to come across Batman Begins. You know, among other things, you know, that's where the origin story started, you know, as a big trend. But I was particularly impressed with Batman Begins, how you could take something that already existed and you could update it and bring it to today's audiences. And I thought, I gotta look for my own existing character to do that with.
Right.
And I made a list of like fictional, historical characters, you know, and you could find names like Napoleon or Dracula or Joan of Arc. You know, and I landed on Santa Claus, and I said, now. And I just moved on. Because it really suggested a very corny thing, and I didn't want to do that. But I just kept going back to it. It's like, is there a non-corny way of doing this? You know, and then, you know, that angle, making Jesper the protagonist, and making it about, you know, a guy who needs to learn altruism, seemed to be the perfect theme for Christmas movie, so that's where it started.
Okay, and then I want to ask you how you get a production like this going. You have our producers here, but I mean hand-drawn. Like nobody's doing hand-drawn. This is classic hand-drawn,
Right.
traditional animation. I hope people are aware of that. And you did use some CG, I guess, occasionally.
Yeah, no,
here.
there's plenty of different techniques there, you know. But just like when I left Disney, that's what we were doing. We were mixing it up, right? But yeah, it takes someone like me who used to be a hand-drawn animator, and who's been basically didn't buy the reasons why we dropped it.
Right.
You know, it was like, it's more expensive. No, not necessarily. You know, people do not want to see it. It's like, are you sure about that? You know, it's like. So those reasons seem like it's a very convenient way to put statistics together, you know, like say, well, 3D is making money, 2D is not. It's like, well, how do you account for the 3D flops then? You know, I mean, that's, so, you know, I was looking for an opportunity to do something. I needed the right story that would benefit from that medium. And I really strongly felt Klaus could be that story.
So how did you pull together a team to do this? You know, there wasn't an existing studio, or was there?
Well, we were there.
Yeah.
We've been a service studio, what they call a boutique studio, for you know, since 2004. So we were around, but figuring it out how to update traditional animation and break down some of the limitations that took, you know, the talent of people I've been surrounding myself with over the years. You know, most notably Martin Jakubowski, who was the guy who figured out how to apply light to hand-drawn characters, you know. But it was not about that. It was like, okay, what are the traditional limitations that we've always had? Which can we break down? How do we push the medium? And how do we use that to tell a better story?
Yeah, that's the thing.
Let me add, it was kind of like a challenge, at the same time, because for some of the departments, we really have to train the people. I mean, it was relatively easy to find animators, but what about the cleanup department? What about the lighting department? We have to train people.
Yeah.
So we had to invest a lot of time and, some money months previous, to starting the production, just to make sure that we had, the appropriate crew. So it was a big challenge, growing from a small studio, relatively small studio, 40, 50 people, up to over 300. So we had to relocate, we have to remodel a place, but everything was worth it at the end, I believe.
Yeah, a lot of these professions have disappeared.
Yeah.
No one's doing it anymore. And so a lot of it was like, let's find a veteran who can train young crews, and let's give ourselves the time for them to get there. But so many people, this was their first movie or first animated production to work on.
That's true.
But
Myself,
I
I was also a first-time director, so we're all
Right.
first-timers.
But I think, both Marissa and Sergio really innovated, figuring out how do we get the best artists to do the work, and then figure out departments based on that. So, we had inventory problems throughout production, but we were able to move, talent around. Because if it was a traditional studio like here, you wouldn't be able to do that because they're all doing one thing, right? But they had really young, talented artists that could get moved around if we had to move them around, and that was, I think that literally saved us.
At the height of production, how many people were involved? How big was the studio?
How big was the studio? Well, I know in square meters, it's like around 3,000 square meters. And you do the translation.
Well, I
into
mean
feet.
people. How many lives there? 100 people?
312.
Yeah.
Without counting the outsourcing studios working and helping, on cleanup. We had like 7 studios, all over the world. And our studio at one point looked like, United Nations because we had 22 nationalities.
Oh, wow.
So different characters, different nationalities. You figured it out. Great parties, by the way.
But I think at the end of the day, when we look at the statistics, we're very proud because, it's the most diversified crew. And to that point, over
And a
40
lot of women.
Yeah,
Don't forget about
I know,
women.
that's what I'm saying. Over 43% of the crew were women. So this is huge.
Do you find, one more production question, I'll probably get back to it, but that the younger people, that there's a hunger to do this hand-drawn animation? I teach at CalArts and other schools, and the students are really into hand-drawn. They're into anime, they're into the old Disney classics, they want to do their own thing. And yet when the industry isn't really supporting that for the most part. You can go into doing TV cartoons, but that's about it.
I think I can relate to, kids today who choose to go the route of traditional animation, because when I chose to go into animation, it was not a good idea either.
Right.
It was not, Disney was doing barely anything, and I just had to do it. And I knew, and my parents knew, we're gonna give him like, very expensive education so he can end up living under a bridge, essentially.
That's like deciding to be an actor.
Yeah, exactly.
Idiotic.
Well, I think you have better options at the time. But I tell you, these kids are choosing that, even though it would be a much smarter career move to go under CGI, but they have to. And we were very surprised. We used to joke that in order to get like a crew of 2D animators today, we're gonna have to break a lot of people out of jail and retirement homes, but that new generation that was willing to go wherever it took to get the opportunity to show what they could do.
Yeah.
And the mentors, the veterans that became naturally mentors to these kids, it was a great thing to see.
You have to remember, it's a huge thing. First of all, it's traditionally animated, and it's also made in Europe. You never have, Europe doesn't have this kind of opportunities,
Right.
and everyone knows Sergio's name as an amazing animator, and then having done the Despicable Me franchise, everyone flocked.
I apologize, by the way.
Everyone literally flocked. There were tons of people that applied, and then they went through this very diligent system of looking at their work, testing them, and making sure that we had the highest caliber artists, regardless of the fact that a lot of them had never worked on a movie. And I think, as someone said, it feels like when Pixar first started.
Yeah.
Because there was this hunger to do excellence.
Let's get JK into this, which I'm dying to hear about. I obviously admire you. I think we all do. And you do so many things, Broadway, and you've done cartoons before, right? Have you done
Yeah,
feature?
I've done a fair amount of animated stuff in the past.
You were even an M&M, I believe.
I still am.
You still
am?
are?
Yes, yes. That's a very sweet job.
How did you? I guess I could ask anyone, but how did you hear about this? They approached you about this, and
Yeah, I mean, it was just it came to me through my agent, and in agent speak, when he was telling me about it, I was pretty skeptical about what it might be and how it might be realized, and but then once I saw the script and saw some of the art, some of the the early art, and did a little bit of research about Sergio, and I'm trying to remember. First of all, when you said the lead actor from the movie, I was looking around for Jason because he certainly was, such a big integral part of what makes it ultimately work so beautifully. It just had an appeal as something that could become, and I think will become, a Christmas tradition along up there with some of the best live action and animated movies, and I was really excited to be a part of it and to, really help be guided by Sergio in creating this character.
you have such a great voice, just in general. I think you probably know that, but you're really playing a character here. That's what I love about it, and it's true of all the actors too. I didn't hear or think about you watching the movie. Clearly, I was here seeing the character, and what can we say about that? I mean, both either as a director or even as the actor, you really literally disappear into this role, and
I think it was the beard. Well, one of the great things about doing animation and with a creative team and a director that you trust is that you can really go widely in different directions, and just once you have some faith and some trust in the director, then you have total freedom to just when he wants me to go wildly in a direction that I wouldn't have thought of it. I just went as far as I could and didn't put any restraints on myself, and trusted him, as I think Jason and everybody, all the cast did ultimately. Just we were throwing it all at the wall, and he was deciding what was going to stick.
I assume you recorded everybody separately, or did you ever have a session with everyone or something?
We tried one joint session with Rashida and Jason, because they grew up together, they all know each other. That's going to be great chemistry. It actually turned out not to be. Mm-hmm. We got better material with them separately.
Oh, really?
Improvising, and they playing off each other, But I would have liked to do more of that. But logistics, I was in Spain. I tried to make a point to be here personally for at least the first recording, and then from then on it was done remotely through Skype. And so no, but I want to tell my side of the story.
Please.
For how we got JK involved. It was our casting directors that, before they approached your agent, they sent a list of suggested voices, and on top of the list they said J.K. Simmons, and I said, yes, please, and I didn't look at anybody else on that list. And like a few weeks later, they told us that that you might be interested, and I was like, oh my, you were the first one to get on board.
I know, we were so thrilled.
And I was like, well, no matter what happens, we're off to a great start, But recording with JK was very different from recording with Rashida or Norm or Jason. I remember, I don't know if you know this, but there was that particular day where we recorded the backstory of Klaus and his wife, and we built it all up into one single take, so you could just take it all. And JK said, well, let me do a run through and see what comes out, and so he read this couple minutes thing, and we were all in tears, and then he was like, should we do one for real? And we're like, okay. was, I felt you were teaching me who the character was rather than the other way around. And the animators felt the same way. The animators said, I got so much to work with here, you know, so, yeah.
That, I mean, to me, that's the beauty of this medium, you know, because everybody does feed off everybody else, even if you're not in the same room at the same time. You know, because I always felt that from Sergio and from the other actors, some of whom I still haven't met, and from the animators as well.
Yeah, I mean, I think to me it goes back to the classic traditions of the great animated films. It's not, again, I've never been a fan of to be honest, the celebrity voice, because it takes the audience away. But that's what's the great about this is when I saw this the first time, because the credits are now at the end of the movie, so I don't know who's in it. So I'm like, I don't know by the time I got to the end, it was just so great, and then I'm like, wow, what a cast! I'm just another piece.
Joan Cusack? What? Really?
Yeah, exactly. And she's got a very recognizable voice. I don't know if am I allowed to? You guys, does anybody have any questions? I think I'm not sure if I'm allowed to do that, but I'm gonna. The lady first.
Yes, I just want to say that it was one of the sweetest, sweetest, most surprising, and this film is so needed right now. It was so beautiful. I want to see it again on a big screen because it was so magnificent, and I just want to thank you.
You probably gotta buy a larger TV, I guess.
But that's an interesting point. The big screen, seeing it on the screen.
Hunchback and Tarzan.
What was that?
My husband and I wrote Hunchback and Tarzan.
Really?
So
Oh my
we
God!
were
I worked on both those films.
Yeah, I know.
Well, thank you for that.
Well, thank you.
We have another question.
Hi, my name's AJ. Just wanted to congratulate you on an amazing project. You also mentioned, Jake mentioned it could be something that could be an annual, Christmas classic. But I also think, with just race relations in the world and the way things are in the world, I think that this also be something that can be used as far as like just helping people come together because the storyline. So congratulations. And what do you think about having that as something that can help bring people together as well with the storyline?
Well, the film is not attempting to make a political statement. How could it? I mean, we started 10 years ago, so couldn't predict where we'd be here today. But you try to pick a universal truth that you believe in, and that being essentially kindness is contagious. And I do believe that, right? If you hold a door for somebody, that person will probably likely do the same for someone else, right? And there's something particularly interesting about Christmas time that we all kind of buy into this Christmas spirit. And I remember this one time that around Christmas time, I saw a lady carrying heavy bags of groceries to her home. And I offered to carry them for her, and she agreed, and I did, go all the way there. And I thought, had this been June, she would have called the police on me. What is it? What is it that makes it so, around this time we're more willing, and if we could capture that in a film in the most elegant and truthful way, that would be the closest thing to the perfect Christmas film that we could do.
Oh, we do have questions, I guess.
Hi. First of all, I want to say congratulations. The film is just beautiful, delightful, and heartwarming. I've seen it many times, and this is the first time I've seen it on big screen though. So I think everyone should see it on big screen for sure. I have a couple of questions. First of all, about the design. It's like refreshing. That's the one word that came to my mind when I first saw it. And how long did it take you, Sergio, to come up with a design? The story was 10 years ago, but when you finally get into production, how long does it take to kind of finesse and get to the visual that you have now? And then secondly, I want to ask the producers, Jinko and Marisa.
Marisa, yes.
Yeah, how do you get the team together from 22 countries, and how hard was it to get that working? So.
Well, I'll get the design part of it. The trick is, we've been collecting artists, for about 15 years, and we've been curating our team. This person has these abilities, and making sure. So I have a few strengths, but I have a lot of weaknesses, and I make a point to surround myself with people who are far stronger than me in all those areas that I'm weaker at. It will be a very limiting thing that every film we do has my style. So so I give them as much freedom as I can, and I don't care. I don't have a predisposed idea of what the film should look like. We try to find the style that best serves the story, and that's the only criterion we follow, and everybody gets to chip in. So that's my part of that. Maybe you guys want to jump in.
Well, in regards to your question about gathering the crew, so many people from so many countries. Well, Sergio did an amazing job, especially in the animation department, because he already, worked in animation for such a long time, and he wanted the best of the best for each department. So what we started doing is to hire the supervisors, and the supervisors will give us a hand, just finding the right people for each department. We did the training that we were, talking about, and we simply advertise ourselves, in our website. It's like we need, people for certain departments. So that's basically, how we did it, and it turned out that the best people were all around the world. So we had to help them to relocate. We gave them, help with anything that they needed, because the production required to have the best of the best.
Well,
But
Spain is not a bad place to live either.
But
Well,
also,
that's
there
true.
was that little test piece that went
Oh,
viral.
the teaser,
So that
helped
had a
enormously.
huge, enormous impact because everyone saw it, especially people who love 2D. So that became like an instant tool for us to be able to go
That's
out.
true.
Where Sergio and I would reach out to
Recruiting
people.
tool, right?
Right,
Well,
basically
yeah.
coming out of retirement and saying, go to Spain, come
Yeah.
come with us to Spain, and people literally came from all around the world that were the supervisors that we needed. So that was the best tool, I think, because everyone heard about it and knew about it, and everybody wanted to work on it. So I think it was harder sometimes to turn down people that wasn't right stylistically. That had a lot of decades of experience, but again, we were trying to innovate that 2D.
Yeah, but an experience became secondary to raw talent. If we could find somebody we could identify, not only experience, but look at what he can do, if we invest in this person, we might reap the rewards before the film's over. So we did not look at curriculums, we did look at portfolios and just the art ability.
Yeah, I think the risk that we took on the show, we broke every rule. If you were doing this as a studio film, we literally broke every rule, because typically in a studio film, you wouldn't bring more than 15% new talent, right?
Yeah, but for
This is
example, in cleanup,
Yeah.
95% of the crew
Was
were
new talent.
actually new talent.
I think there was a couple of questions. Okay.
Yeah. First of all, I remember watching the ad on big ad billboard, and I saw the details on the characters, and I thought, oh my God, how is this film going to look? Just because all the details and wasn't expecting to see, because I'm very picky. I've been in the industry for 2 decades, and I think it was blown away by the animation. Was just incredible, and the backgrounds. Oh my God, like every shot, it's just that layout. It was so powerful, and I remember going into the feature department 2 decades ago and walking in to this place. I was just like, you must have been working there at the time at Disney, and I was just like, oh my God, this is incredible. And I just feel like all of that was put into this film, like all this art and story, when you felt like it was gonna end and pick you up back up again with tears and emotion, and you just never knew when it was gonna end. And in saying so, not wanting things to end, what are you working on next? What is it? What are you?
There's a couple things I did. The first thing, I used to consider a studio as hybrid studio. I could do both 2D and 3D, because I didn't want to limit ourselves, because there's things that are, like I said, stories have a voice. You got to listen to what the best medium is, and it was hard enough to any of my stories that turn out to reveal themselves to be better for live action went into that drawer of things that I probably never do, because that's not my medium, right? And to also add good ideas for 3D to that drawer, I said, that's going to be really limiting for me to just do films that are good for 2D. But the truth is, we discovered there was not ever a single moment in the making of Klaus that we felt limited by the medium. So if we have that kind of freedom, then that means that expands the kind of movies we can make. So I'm working on 2 new ideas, and I promise you that they will be very different from Klaus, because we want every movie should be a completely different experience, visually and tonally and from a storytelling point of view. So we're looking to keep exploring in places where maybe some of the bigger studios are not looking into, right?
Yeah, that gives hope to all of us.
Yes. Yes. Okay, one more question. Nice person in the back.
It's kind of how early was Netflix involved?
That's a good question. How early was Netflix?
Well, so we shopped this movie to every studio in town, and every studio said we love the story, but the problem is it's a Christmas movie.
Yeah.
And as we all as we learned through the process that you have to be a major temple or a franchise to have that slot in distribution. So we reached out. One of our other Spanish producers reached out to Netflix Spain, and we got a no. And then we reached out to someone here, didn't get anywhere. And then we were about to give up, and then we found out that there was an executive here that was looking for a Christmas comedy. So we came back and pitched in.
Like early or for distribution?
No, early. They
Okay.
they production finance. So the development money came out of the company in Spain, but the whole production was financed by
Okay.
Netflix.
Now
So
I've heard, this kind of piggybacks on that. I've heard like F is for Family and some of the other shows, like Netflix pretty much gives creative reign to the creators. Like they don't give a lot of notes. They say do what you guys do because you do it best.
I can answer that.
Did you get a lot?
No, I know that's, sometimes perceived as to be like a legend, like that's what they say to bring creators in, but no, it is actually true. I have been out there in the big studios. I've seen some of my projects get bent and twisted into something they were never meant to be. My last job at one of the big studios, I actually told them I can no longer be the tool you use to destroy my own film, so I'm leaving. And they went on and made the film they wanted to make, which was not at all what I intended originally. There's more than one right way. You start to make a film and you know it's gonna change and evolve, but you gotta at least keep the core what made you wanna make the film, right? Sometimes the notes have a lot to do with the branding of the company, right? And sometimes the notes are about how many executives get a saying and how many of them showed their film to their kids over the weekend and what the kids had to say about it. And you go, well, you're trying to compromise all of that with your vision and something gets twisted. Here, and I've been complaining about that for a long time. And here, I feel that maybe we had to work a little harder to get to that point to where we were able to start. Like we were pitching our way up the ladder, and convincing everybody. But by the time the last person said, okay, I think we believe in the film, we believe in the vision, and we believe in you, go make the film. And only call us if you need us. And it was like that. And we would get notes, but they were compared to what we usually do. First of all, they were given to us as suggestions that we did not have to follow. We did our best to accommodate. Sometimes they were great notes, and they were very useful. But whenever I had a note that I didn't agree with, I would shyly say, I'm not sure about this, but you don't have to do it. Those are just suggestions. The downside to it is, if the film sucks, it's your fault, right? So,
This really felt that way from my perspective as well, having done smaller and bigger animated things, because you especially once you have a little experience with this, you can tell if there's a creative force whose vision you're helping to realize, and you can tell oftentimes where a note is coming from, and and it's difficult sometimes to fully commit to something that I'm not sure I believe in, and that I'm kind of not sure the director even believes in, because they're not letting the director make the movie. So this was really refreshing in that way.
And sometimes actors would talk me out of an idea, like Rashida did all the time. Rashida would say, I'm not sure she would say that, or it was like, how would she say it? And so it was like, how about these? I was like, that's way better, let's do that, So, but there was no one ever, controlling that process. It was just whatever worked best, So yeah, I'm glad to hear you say that. I've been curious. Is it okay if I ask a question too, JK?
Please. Just one.
Just give it a second. So animators will want to know from your perspective, right? Because it's animated characters like split performance. Like you provide the voice acting, and they would go and say what's the best way to support the performance from a physical point of view, and they really research their acting choices, and they go into a room and they record themselves physically acting to your voice in several ways, and they pick what they think is the best, and the goal is to try to make it the most honest version of that performance. When you see something like this, when you see what they did with it, what is your reaction?
That's a really interesting question, and I do see, but really more feel when I'm watching this, and especially getting to see it finally on the big screen, with an audience, feel that communication, that I was putting it out there, you were, funneling me, I was putting it out there, and the way you communicated that, and I guess communicated that to the animators, felt so collaborative and organic and beautifully realized. Yeah, I mean, I and that's again that's often not the case, because there are too many chefs,
Right.
oftentimes, and in this you had 312 chefs, but they were all you were the vision. So I think it really shows.
Thank you. I'll pass it along.
Well, I want to congratulate you guys for making a great movie. It's a classic. I don't care what anyone else says. But I do care that I want to congratulate you on winning the Annie Award for Best Animated Feature last night, and 7 awards. I think guys won 7 different awards, I think, for that.
Including that one.
Including that one. That's the best way to put it. Thank you, Team Klaus, and thank you for being with us this afternoon. And I will, Marisa, Jinko, JK, and Sergio, thank you for being with us.
Thank you.
Thank you.